News Nation together with some new things that have come out and why I'm here to even talk about what I'm talking about and if we think they're going to get out. I think most of you are on you're on the side of them now. SA is being a lot taken a lot more seriously nowadays. Now back then, if a child was SA'd, people would just say, "Oh no, they're making stories up. That didn't happen," or "Don't talk about it. Let's not talk about it. We don't talk about that stuff." All right. So that's what happened. And Honey Buddy, I'm glad this is your favorite case to cover, and I'm glad you're here with me today. Let's find out what's next in the case.
Says he needs about 10 days to make his decision. Does that sound about right? What's he weighing here? I don't know this, but I think, likely the decision has largely been made. Yesterday, after the press conference, the DA's office had the opportunity to speak with family members.
All right, now remember this, there was 20 family members. We're not going to watch that whole thing because I'm going to assume you all watch the whole thing. They could be released, Rebecca Wyman. That's right. They can be released. This happened on, I believe, Friday or Saturday, that this news document or this news piece came out. Okay, so it could be that close. They can get released this week. There's a good possibility that can just happen out of nowhere. And that's why I wanted to bring it to you today. It's insane. Within 10 days of last week and the judge talking to the family, which we're gonna watch about 5-minute clip of the family members in case you missed it. I don't want to watch the whole 45 minutes because you know me. I like to pack a lot of content into my episodes and leave you with homework to do, right? I like everybody to walk away and learn something new. So I'm not going to watch 45 minutes here, 45. I'm going to do clips, and then we're going to go away being like, wow, what just happened? Time served, possibly. Yep. All right. Let me put this again real quick so you know. All right. Now.
Analyst Danny Savalos, good to have you with us. So the district attorney says he needs about 10 days to make his decision. Does that sound about right? What's he weighing here? I don't know this, but I think, likely the decision has largely been made. Yesterday, after the press conference, the DA's office had the opportunity to speak with family members, which is interesting. But I could show you dozens of criminal defendants' family members who also want them out of prison. So while it's fascinating, it's rarely the most compelling thing that a DA's office considers when reevaluating a decades-old conviction. So I guess good for them, but that doesn't make it all that unusual that the family wants them out, because not even their entire family wants them out, as we've seen.
As we heard in that piece there, a lot of this conversation is resting on the fact that attitude.
That's not a dumb question. No questions are dumb. And as a matter of fact, I'm looking into if they can profit from this. Are they going to be able to profit from this? I think they spent all of their money back then on lawyers. They drained it. So I don't think they have much money to get out to, but can they profit from all of the things that are happening? It depends how they get released. It depends what the judge orders. There's a possibility they can profit of all from Netflix and Hulu and ABC. So is there money waiting for them? Maybe not so much. Is there money coming to them? Possibly, depending on how that happens. Now, you saw the Peacock deserve justice of Roy Rosillo, and yes, he needs justice too. I agree. That guy needed to be in jail. Roy, I saw that documentary and it just tore my heart out. Oh, I really did. So, yeah, thank you for saying that. Things to think about.
Attitudes and understandings have changed here about sexual abuse. That certainly matters in the of public opinion, but in a courtroom, how does that attitude come into play here? What does that actually mean for their case?
When you look at the history of different criminal cases, you can see pretty easily just a few decades ago how different society's sensibilities were. And there's no question that we look more closely. We're more protective of children now than we were 35 years ago. We're more conscious of things like abuse, which probably went even more underreported back then. But that being said, we kind of already had a laboratory experiment in this case because they were almost acquitted the first time around when the Menendez brothers were allowed to introduce almost all of the same abuse evidence that's being.
And we're going to go over that. They did introduce almost all of the same evidence and it didn't matter. And then the second time it wasn't allowed in. And so they were convicted. Gary Sherry, thank you so much for the $25 cash app. I always appreciate you. Thank you. They have degrees, they're educated, and they've had wives for nearly the entire time they've been locked up. All right. Yeah, they did lollipop. They spent $700,000 right after they took the parents' lives. The rest went to the lawyer. So that answers your question there. The classic one, what's up? Yo, thank you again, Jojo, for the 5 memberships. Rosie, thank you again. 99 cents, 99 cents. All you folks, it all helps. Thank you very much. I appreciate you. All right.
Brought up now. There are 2 discrete items that were not admitted or not known at the first trial and are now known. But otherwise, at the first trial, they were allowed to introduce evidence of their abuse, and they were almost acquitted. The trial ended in a mistrial. The jury was deadlocked. And the second time around, they were not allowed to introduce that abuse evidence, and they were convicted. So while society's views on this issue have changed dramatically, even back then, they almost got acquitted. This case has received so much national attention in just the last few weeks. How much does or should a DA consider how the public feels about this, how the family feels about this? Keeping in mind, this is a DA who's up for re-election soon, so that may weigh on his decision. Okay, this is just my personal opinion. This seems to be a very politically motivated second look at a conviction. If you asked me on the spectrum as a criminal defense attorney of all the criminal defendants I've known, who are the most deserving of this kind of executive clemency? And that's kind of what it is, packaged as a resentencing. But this is essentially the DA's office undoing a conviction that it secured 30 plus years ago. If you were to
And you know what's messed up? When they got convicted the second time, that's another reason why they got convicted. It was elections. They wanted to look good. They needed to put them behind bars because OJ Simpson got off. OJ Simpson got off. They didn't want the riots happening, and they were like, we got to do this. It's a political thing. So it's going to be so interesting if it's another political move. Now, I believe they should be out, but I wonder if it's going to be a political move with what they're talking about. It's so weird. Yeah, this case was massive in Southern California. I grew up down south. I was down there when that happened. I grew up in the LA area. Like I told you guys, the Night Stalker. I lived in an apartment with my mom when the Night Stalker was around. We had to lock our windows even in the summer. So I was all down there. Microwave Cheese, thank you so much for the 10 Guilty of Crime memberships. Oh man, this is just a crazy, crazy case. Yeah, I'm glad you guys remember this. You might be hearing more real soon if they get out. We're going to talk about what went wrong.
Asked me who were the most deserving 3-4 weeks ago, the Menendez brothers would have been in the middle to the low end. I mean, there are a lot of people who are at least whodunits who are sitting in prison. There's no question that these defendants or these 2 brothers killed their parents, lied to the police about it, went on a shopping spree, and were only confessed to it when they were finally caught. So look, do we have different views now today than we used to about child abuse? Absolutely. Are there a lot of criminal defendants sitting in prison for life who have been abused? Yes, I would say a large number have been. So good for these defendants if they can get out, but I am surprised because I wouldn't have put them in my top 100 of most deserving clemency petitions.